Hello Scorpio, my name is Keith Haswell and I'm a professional astrologer with 40 years experience in the business and over 30,000 clients worldwide. It's my pleasure to welcome you Scorpio to this video on your cycles for November and December 2014. Now I've been putting out these videos now for the last 18 months, getting fantastic feedback, over 4,000 subscribers now to my videos, so make sure that you subscribe so that you get all the videos that I'm putting out. 140 videos I've done in the last 18 months and very happy with that on all aspects of personal and spiritual growth, so it's not just to do with astrology. And what I'm going to do for you on this video here Scorpio is to tell you a few things about yourself first of all, reveal a few secrets about you, and to tell you what conditions and circumstances that you've set yourself up for in this incarnation, what sort of tests that you want to pass and what sort of qualities that you want to develop within yourself and so forth. And then I'm going to look at the movements of the Sun, Mercury, Venus and Mars through the houses of your horoscope and the impact that that has upon you. And then I'll look at the slower moving bodies of Jupiter and Saturn, because Jupiter makes some major changes in your horoscope Scorpio in this 2-month period, and also Saturn makes some major changes in this 2-month period as well. So it's quite a coincidence astrologically that's going on at the moment. Look, all of us Scorpio are having problems with handling pain. There's so much pain in the world with all the fear and loneliness and anxiety and stress that's going on with the Ebola crisis and the terrorism crisis. Look, it's a terrible situation that we're all facing, but pain looked at from a spiritual perspective is a science. It's a scientific way whereby we bring about change within ourselves. Not God and Goddess's choice, mind you, Scorpio, but our choice by default. If we refuse to grow by the wonder and the magnificence of the gifts that God and Goddess have given us, the power to create our own reality, the gift of eternal life, we can never ever die, and forever evolving into higher states of consciousness. I mean, they're beautiful gifts that God and Goddess have given us, but if we refuse to grow through the joy and the wonder and the magnificence of those gifts, then by default we choose, not God and Goddess choose, we choose, Scorpio, to grow by pain. And pain is a way whereby we bring about changes within ourselves. And you know a lot about change, Scorpio, because you are the penultimate sign that deals with change. You're very highly sexed, and you have a tremendous urge within yourself to transform yourself. Sometimes that means that you've got to wallow down into the depths of degradancy in terms of your inner being in order to reach your bottom, and then to say, this is not what reality is all about. I'm more than this. And so you then start to strive to transform your lower nature, the personality, and to start aligning yourself with your higher self. So that's one of the most important factors of your sign, Scorpio. And apart from that, you're dealing with a high sex drive as well, because it's this sign that has a terrific, it's ruled by Mars, and therefore there's a tremendous amount of sexuality there within the Scorpio psyche. And so that is part of the problem there within yourself, no doubt. So yes, you're going well, you're reaching and stretching and wanting to become more of who you really are, because you've found your way to my website and you've found your way to this video. That means that you are on the crest of the wave of evolution. You are a pioneer, you are a map maker, Scorpio, and you are very goal-oriented when it comes to money matters and matters relating to your security. Your sense of security in life, Scorpio, comes from projecting yourself to new horizons all the time. So in other words, expanding your consciousness, expanding your understanding, expanding the growth and development within yourself. That's what gives you a sense of security in life. You've probably got more than one source of income, and you don't communicate very readily with other people. You can be a man of few words or a woman of few words, and you're very intense and deep and introspective in your nature. You spend a lot of time thinking and reflecting upon aspects of your nature that you're working on to develop and transform, but you can be subject to depression. Now you have a sense of restriction and limitation upon you, and unhappiness somehow through relatives and also through neighbours. So you have problems in life with neighbours, problems in communication, problems in getting your point across, and problems with dealings with your relatives too. Quite feasibly, the early death of a relative that you were very fond of, and that has a big impact upon you about the question about death and what's after death and so forth. Now you seem to live in unusual circumstances in the home environment. So you rather than getting married, you'll have a de facto relationship where you're living together, or you'll have a relationship with somebody who is from a different nationality or something like that. Or you live with friends, or you cohabitate in the home with others and so forth. So there's generally a different sort of home environment for you, Scorpio, than the normal situation. And you have some unusual circumstances there connected with parents too. So your parents have unusual circumstances surrounding them. There can be a crisis in life focusing through a parent. A sudden change of residence can occur in your childhood, which shakes your sense of security and things like that. There can be unusual crises arising out of family matters and domestic matters as a child, which indicates problems for you as you are going through your adolescence and puberty and so forth. Now you seem to get involved in intrigue when it comes to the romantic and social side of your life and the sexual side of your life. You tend to fantasize and idealize about things, and you tend to get yourself embroiled in secret relationships and things like that. You use your imagination sometimes to your own disadvantage in terms of romance, love, and the social side of your life. So you can have problems with your own level of self-esteem. You can have problems with children who have difficulties with drugs or alcohol, should you have any children in your life. And you will most likely have some addiction to drugs or alcohol somewhere along the line as well. Now you seem to wear a uniform in a job, or a dust coat or overalls in the job at some time in your life. There's an accident involving a domestic pet, or a death involving a domestic pet through an accident somewhere along the line. You could get bitten by a dog or scratched by a cat somewhere along the line. There's conflicts and tensions from time to time focusing through workmates and fellow workers. You can have an accident on the job at some time in your life, Scorpio. Now your wife or your husband is very possessive in their nature, with a love of creative and artistic pursuits, and they're an attractive person, but they are very security conscious and all the time on your back to try and be more secure. There's many fluctuating circumstances to do with any joint finances that you share with a partner or a spouse. So there's two sources of income coming in there, and there's quite a lot of secret worries there to do with the joint finances and so forth. A lot of fluctuating circumstances and changing circumstances. So sometimes you can be very secure, sometimes through the relationship with your spouse there's some sort of insecurity there. Very fluid sort of circumstances. Now you live distantly from the place of your birth at some time in your life. It'll either be interstate or it'll be overseas, even if for a short period of time. Now you do have a lot of in-laws around the home from time to time, relatives on your spouse's side, or there can be relatives who live distantly from you come and stay with you from time to time. There's deep books around the place, philosophical books, philosophy and alternative religions and all sorts of things there around the home. So you're an avid reader on all sorts of philosophies and spirituality and so forth there in the home environment. And you do go through a lot of adult education, what you might say, in the later part of your life. Now, you like to be in business for yourself or self-employed, or else you'll gravitate towards positions of authority and leadership as far as your career or business is concerned. And there's a lot of social involvements that can spring from the work, from the career, from the business side of things. There's a lot of social involvements in life focusing through parents, quite feasibly. And it could possibly be that you go into business or have some business connection with one of your children at some time along the way. Now, you seem to have friends who you meet through the work environment, and there's a lot of club activities and group social functions that you get involved in there. You do have a lot of secret worries at times in your relationship. And you can find yourself being your own worst enemy in terms of relationships, Scorpio, because you can get involved in intrigue and secret and deceptive relationships and things like that at some time along the way. So that'll do as far as your personality analysis and a look at your lifetime. Remember that this is a lifetime conditions and circumstances that I've just portrayed for you. So some of those things can be from the past, some can be for the future and therefore difficult to relate to. What I'm going to do for you now, Scorpio, is I'm going to look at the movements of the faster moving bodies, the Sun, Mercury, Venus and Mars, as they move through the zodiac in their evolution around the Sun. They actually then move also through the houses of your horoscope. And as these planets move through the houses of your horoscope, I'll tell you what impact that they're having, and I'll put it on a timeline for you. So I'll tell you where they all are, those four, on the 1st of November. And then I'll tell you when one of them changes into a different house of your horoscope, and that brings a different focus and a different set of tests and circumstances there that you wanted to try and pass. And then I'm going to look at the slower moving bodies. Jupiter is very exciting for you in this 2-month period, because there's some major changes there. And also Saturn makes some major changes as well in this 2-month period, which is quite unusual. Saturn takes 2.5 years to transit through a particular house. So for it to make a change into a different house is quite an event in this 2-month period that we're facing now. We start off on the 1st of November, Scorpio, with the Sun in your first house. So you're feeling confident and powerful and in control and wanting to commence and start new projects and ideas. Mercury's in the 12th house of your horoscope to start the month off with. So you're very introspective and reflective and enjoying a lot of solitude. Venus is in the 1st house of your horoscope, so you're very loving, outgoing in your affections, with a love of music and creative things. And if you're in the market for a romance, with Venus in the 1st house, it's a very good time to have any development of a relationship and romance and love. Mars starts the month off, Scorpio, in the 3rd house of your horoscope, so there's potential there for accidents on the road, lung and bronchial trouble, stress and tension for you, focusing through relatives, impulsiveness in speech and aggressiveness there. So just be careful of accidents on the road and things like that, and lung and bronchial trouble and stresses and tensions in your communication. You can be quite assertive and dominant when Mars is in the 3rd house of your horoscope. Now, the first change that we come to, Scorpio, is on the 9th of November. Mercury changes from the 12th house into the 1st house of your horoscope. It remains there for 2 or 3 weeks, and so you'll be much more communicative, and there's a lot more dealings with people that you work with, perhaps socially, and also a lot more communication with relatives during that time. On the 17th of November, Venus moves into the second house of your horoscope, Scorpio. And with Venus in the second house of your horoscope for 2 or 3 weeks, it's a very good time for you financially. So you'll be lucky during that time. It's favourable for you for buying and selling things. And it's favourable for you. It does bring a lot of rich food into your diet. So just be careful there. But certainly you should be quite lucky and fortunate and should be able to improve your finances, Scorpio, with Venus in the second house of your horoscope. Now on the 23rd of November, Scorpio, the Sun also moves into the second house and it remains there for 4 weeks. With the Sun in the second house, there's a focus upon your personality, a focus upon financial matters and matters relating to your security for 30 days. On the 28th of November, Scorpio, Mercury moves into the second house of your horoscope and sees a focus mentally upon financial matters and matters relating to your security. On the 5th of December, Mars moves into the 4th house of your horoscope. Now that brings about a period of tension for 2 or 3 weeks, 4 weeks or so. Tension and conflict focusing through parents if they're alive. Tensions and conflicts focusing through the domestic arena. Accidents around the home. Arguments and conflicts to do with those who cohabitate with you in the home. And there's a lot of stresses and tensions there with things that you're waiting to come to a conclusion. So there's potential for fires and accidents and with boiling water and things like that with Mars in the 4th house of your horoscope. And you'll be quite dominant and assertive and precipitate a few arguments around the home. So just try and cool things down. On the 11th of December, Scorpio, Venus moves into the 3rd house of your horoscope, beginning a 2 or 3 week cycle of a lot more social activities with relatives and neighbours. It's good for buying and selling things. You'll have a love of music. It's good for entering into contracts or agreements. And there's a great deal of potential for romance and love if you're in the market for a relationship to spring from those in your neighbourhood or those in your relatives. On the 17th of December, Mercury moves into the 3rd house of your horoscope, seeing a lot more communication with relatives and neighbours, and a greater lot of communication there with people that you work with as well. You'll be very fluid in your communication with them, and you can enter into an important contract or an agreement. On the 22nd of December, the last one that we come to, Scorpio, you've got the Sun moves into the 3rd house of your horoscope and remains there for 30 days. With the Sun in the 3rd house of your horoscope, there's a personality focus upon relatives, neighbours, contracts, agreements, motor vehicles, and a lot more social involvement. You'll have a sunnier disposition, and there's a lot more potential for social involvements with relatives and neighbours. Now I'm going to look at Jupiter for you, Scorpio. On the 1st of November, Jupiter is in the 10th house of your horoscope. Now with Jupiter in the 10th house of your horoscope, it means it's been there for at least 2 or 3 months. And Jupiter in the 10th house of your horoscope has seen an opportunity for expansion for you in the recent past to do with your career. There's been good stars to do with business and career. A parent, if they're still alive, may have travelled distantly to visit or travel overseas, or you might have travelled overseas with a parent sometime in that period. And there's very good stars for dealings with government departments, dealings with parents, expansion and growth in the career, good for career changes and things like that. And it's very favourable for expansion in business. Now then on the 9th of December, Scorpio, Jupiter turns retrograde. Now planets don't actually go backwards, Scorpio, but when the Earth is moving around the Sun faster than Jupiter, it makes Jupiter appear as if it's going backwards. And that's what's called retrograde in relation to the background space. And when planets are retrograde, when Jupiter is retrograde, it's going to impact negatively upon 2 other areas of your horoscope which are ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter rules Sagittarius and it also rules Pisces. Now the 2 houses that it's going to impact upon, and this will last for at least 2 or 3 months, Jupiter being retrograde, It's going to impact negatively upon your sense of security, finances. You could have bad judgment in making decisions with regard to money matters and expenditure, so just be careful there. And it's also bad to do with children. There'll be worries about children, secret worries about romance, love, and the social side of life. You can have bad judgment with regard to social involvement and intrigue and so forth. Deception rules the roost there when Jupiter is retrograde, impacting upon the 5th house. So there's worries and concerns about the social side of life, matters relating to romance and love if you're in the market for a relationship. So just watch out for your judgment, Scorpio, with Jupiter there impacting negatively upon the 5th house of your horoscope. Now I'm going to look at Saturn for you. Now Saturn starts off the month in the 1st house of your horoscope, but it's been there for the last 2.5 years because it's changing into the 2nd house in this 2-month period that we're dealing with. Now that means that Saturn has been in the 1st house of your horoscope for the last 2.5 years, so you've had a crushing sense of responsibility upon you, leading to depression. You've had a sense of frustration in trying to launch projects and ideas, as if you've had to be very practical and down to earth, and you had to control all use of energy, time and money wisely. Otherwise the law of cause and effect and the law of economy has come down hard upon you in that last 2.5 years, and you've probably experienced some illness in this last 2.5 years as well. Of course, illness we attract towards ourselves, Scorpio, when we allow ourselves to slip into depression, which is a possibility there with Saturn in the 1st house. Now, Saturn makes a change, though, into the 2nd house of your horoscope on the 24th of December, the day before Christmas. When Saturn is in the 2nd house of your horoscope, and it remains there then for the next 2.5 years, you're going to have to be very wise with regard to budgeting, handling money, expenditure, because if you're not wise in controlling money and also controlling time and energy, then the law of cause and effect and the law of economy is going to come down hard on you, and you'll find that there's a lot of tests there and a lot of privation and a lot of difficulty with regard to your sense of security. So your sense of security will be shaken, and you'll have difficulties with regard to money matters unless you're very smart and very wise. So that completes my task for you individually, Scorpio, but stick around now because there's some very important things that I want to discuss with you that relates to your horoscope coming up. So look, what I'm saying to you now that I've gone through that for you is I just want to wrap up here by saying to you, you are on the crest of the wave of evolution. You are reaching and stretching to become more of who you really are. You've brought yourself to my website for the particular reason, and to this video for the particular reason that you seek meaning in your life. You're seeking, where am I heading? What am I all about? Who am I? What life is all about? Where am I going? So it's nice to have this opportunity to be able to talk with you. Now subscribe to my videos because I'm putting out new videos all the time. The videos from 100 to 140 are quite advanced videos, but you'll be able to relate to them because you're on the crest of the wave of evolution. So it's nice to have this opportunity to talk with you. So subscribe to my videos, go to my website, submit your birth details through the Your Horoscope page of my website. Again, the website address is always given in the description of each of my videos, so you can locate that no problem. And let's have some fun together, and let's help you to become more of the giant that you truly are. So I thank you for your attentiveness here, and I look forward to working further with you to decide to grow and reach and stretch and become all that you can be and more. Thank you.